Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you are, how you might be watching slash listening. Thank you for making us part of your day. We are the hockey podcast you're about to hear. I'm Justin.
I'm Alexander.
And, Alexander, did I tell you that my family asked me to stop making Thanksgiving jokes?
I would ask them to stop making any jokes, but
Yes.
why?
I told them I couldn't stop Thanksgiving jokes cold turkey.
Oh, okay.
And on that note,
Eh,
where
uh-huh.
are we starting? Speaking of turkey, now that I've got your attention.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Um, well, we are a little over a month now into the NHL regular season, and lo and behold, it's Connor McDavid's league, and we're all just paying rent.
Yes,
Ovechkin is still a scoring machine.
he
Uh,
is, yeah.
One team really messed up 11 years ago, and now they're paying for it.
Oof. Yeah, what a.
And the first part of the season is always upside down in some places, and people overreact to it, and everybody just needs to chill. So, with
Yes.
that said,
Mmm.
let's get into our good, bad, and ugly. This is the way we go through the league. This year, we are modifying a bit from last year, and we're just going to hit each team in the division and rank them as a good, bad, or ugly, and give a reason as to why. And hopefully, that's entertaining for you all and therapeutic for some of us.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
To keep it interesting, we won't be going through them in standings order or favorite team or whatnot. We're going alphabetical this month. Maybe next month we switch it up and go reverse alphabetical,
There you go.
whatever it is. So
Keep it guessing.
there's no special order to
Nah.
the, which team we hit first, because it shouldn't matter what order we hit them in. We should have the same takeaways. So, with that said, Justin, where are we starting? What is our first team?
Let us start in the Atlantic,
Ooh, okay.
which seem to have mixed up my lists here. So, um, yeah, let's start with Boston there. Who I have.
Boston in
have
the Atlantic. Not
yes.
Boston's not in the Atlantic. Boston's in the Metro.
All right, Metro. That's what I meant to say.
Okay.
Yeah,
So then, we're starting in the Metro.
yeah. Let's start in the Metro.
Start with Boston. I would give them good. And I would give them good from the standpoint of I did not expect much from Boston this year, honestly. And they are playing well enough to be a playoff line team, which is fine because they don't have Tuukka Rask right now. And Taylor Hall hasn't done anything amazing. And I thought they would struggle to make the playoffs, if at all. And it looks
Right.
like they're going to be in the hunt.
Yeah. I think I said at the beginning they're always one of those pesky teams that you can't hit away with the stick from the playoffs, no matter how hard you try. They just keep coming back. It's
Yep,
annoying, very annoying. But I agree with you. I think they're doing very well for not having Tuukka Rask. So it'd be interesting to see whatever happens with that
indeed.
as the time comes. So
So next, if we're going alphabetical, I'm going to guess that Buffalo is next.
that would be correct.
Buffalo, Buffalo. What the heck, Buffalo? Um,
Yeah.
Buffalo, you're doing good for Buffalo standards.
Right. Yeah. Which is kind of a good thing, but not.
Well,
Depends on
they
which way you're looking at it.
so again, when you start a new season, there's always some teams that you don't expect to be good that are good, and teams you don't expect to be bad that are bad, and you kind of have to let things even out.
Oh yeah.
Think of the schedule, and I basically throw away the first two games of the year,
Mm-hmm.
okay, just because those are basically preseason games that you just play the full game,
Right.
and so then you have 80 games left, and you just break that into 8 10 game segments.
Okay. Yeah.
And so if you look back at the last 10 games that somebody has played, it gives you a pretty good picture of how they've played the last basically what 3 weeks it probably takes to play 10 games. But you're playing
Yeah.
about
Thereabouts.
3 games a week, maybe a week that gets four,
Right.
depending on your back to backs.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that said, Buffalo started off pretty good.
They sure
They
did.
have they have cooled off since then, but
Ooh,
that's
they sure
fine
have.
because they at least started out well. Like they didn't come out the gate and just be like, "Yep, they are trash." So, given where the expectation was, we'll give them a good. They will probably be a bad and ugly by the end of the year, but for right now, Buffalo, you did good.
So yeah, I'd say they're in that ugly category because they're 7-8-2, but they're 2-7-1 in the last 10. So they're rapidly heading towards the ugly category, which is kind of no surprise, I don't think. But we'll
Mm-hmm.
give them a good for now because yeah, like I said, they had a very good start to their season, and nobody saw that coming. Like
No.
nobody at all. So, I mean, and what can you do with trading away Jack Heigl? But we'll hit that in a later segment, I would imagine.
Yeah.
All right. So next after Buffalo, I believe we have Detroit.
Um, I'll let you start with Detroit because that's my team, and I will monopolize the time if I start.
Right. I think they're doing pretty good. I mean, especially for preseason expectations and everything. Um, like I've watched some of their games, and they're actually like pretty entertaining games to watch. Like as opposed to last year, where they're getting lambasted a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
They're in these games and they're fighting hard. Especially
Mm-hmm.
Larkin,
Mm-hmm.
a couple times here and there. No.
Sometimes literally fighting. Yes.
Yep. Even if, yeah, you know. So no, I'd say they're doing very good to start.
Mm-hmm. Again, based on expectations, the off season, we knew that Detroit had improved from a personnel standpoint. Now, playing in the Metro, where you have to play the Floridas, the Tampa Bays, the Torontos, the Bostons, we weren't necessarily expecting them to improve, maybe ranking wise, but at least put a better product on the ice. And they have. And one of the primary reasons why is they have two rookies playing for them, a forward named Lucas Raymond and a defenseman named Moritz Seider, who goes by Mo Seider. These are they're two high draft picks from 2 and 3 years ago, which they're taking like sixth and fourth overall. To have rookies come in to a bad team does one of two things. It kills the rookie or it improves the team.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, we have actually seen the team improve because these two guys are playing predominantly. At this point, Mo Seider looks like he's the number one defenseman on the Red Wings as a 20-year-old rookie.
Is that the guy
Now,
that everybody was shocked when Eisenman took him really high in the draft?
yes, yep, that's the kid that
Yep.
was like, I just got drafted, and all the commentators like, he just got drafted,
Who's
and
this guy?
Eiserman is just standing at the podium, was like, this is who I want. I'm right. Um, so um, that's been fantastic. And then Lucas Raymond is leading in points for rookies this year. Second is Mo Seider. So
Oh
literally, these
wow.
two rookies are leading the entire league in points, and Raymond is like taken off with the Calder race right now. Um, I mean, he's 6 points clear of his teammate, and then he's 12 points clear from anybody else. Like he's phenomenal. A lot of that has to do with when you take a young rookie that's got a lot of skill and you put him on your top line because you have a gap on your top line. Well, then he's playing with veteran skill of Larkin and Bertuzzi, which is
Mm-hmm.
different than bringing in a rookie and be like, yeah, you need to play third line minutes until you earn your stripes in this league. They're giving him a chance to be a star, and he's taken it and done well with it. He has moments where he's extremely exciting to watch, and the other 56 minutes of the game, you don't even know he's on the ice because he's fundamentally sound defensively. So he doesn't give up bad chances, and then there's just going to be a moment here, a moment there, where he hits it and he's like, "This is where I need to be. This is where I need to make the pass," and things happen. It's really fun to watch. So I would say that the coolest thing so far this year is to actually watch the Red Wings do things that I have not seen them do in the past 5, 6 years since we were a playoff team, to where I feel like the team knows that they are rounding the corner and heading for success again, which is honestly something that I wasn't sure when we were going to round that corner. Lucas Raymond made this team out of camp unexpectedly because he was expected to come into camp and then be sent to the affiliate in Grand Rapids, the Griffins. And I think there's good and bad reasons for keeping him up, and they didn't keep him up for bad reasons. They kept him up because he earned the spot in camp and in the preseason, showing that he was somebody that should be an NHL player today. And the Red Wings made the right decision in bringing him up. Seider was expected to play. He'd already played 1 year in the AHL 2 years ago. Then he played over in Germany last year because the AHL didn't play. And so I think it's kind of like a perfect storm to get both these guys into the league at the same time and let this team really start to go from its youth working up through the depth chart and be like, hey, these are the names that will be on the cup that we're going to win in the next 5 to 10 years. Like we now at least like, hey, we have some guys on the roster that would be names on the Stanley Cup if they were to win in the next 5 to 10 years. Because we don't know if Larkin's going to be on the cup. We don't know if, quite frankly, anybody else on the roster other than these two guys would actually be cup contender names. But these two guys are definitely on that list, which is really, really exciting.
Yeah, that is very exciting. Once you can kind of start seeing those pieces being built and the whole plan starting to come together, it's a good feeling.
Yeah, especially after the long dark night that we have been through in Detroit. So.
Yeah, about that. So, anything else on your thoughts for Detroit?
No, this might be the only time we're going to do good for them. I don't know because they will fall back into bad things. And if Larkin gets hurt, if Raymond gets hurt, if Bertuzzi gets hurt, if the goaltending gets hurt, if Seider gets hurt, like this team is one injury away from being back to where we were last year because they have no depth. There's zero depth, and so yeah, we'll see where they go from here. But it's exciting right now just to at least watch good, fun, competitive hockey from a team that has sucked for the last 5 years.
Yes, that is a good feeling for sure. So, off of Detroit on to Florida.
Florida, hey, now
Hey.
Florida is right up there with the top teams in the league, points percentage wise, points wise, goal differential wise. They're undefeated at home,
which is insane.
Like, this is a team that really, given the fact that their coach resigned,
wink, wink.
is just continuing to roll, almost as if the coach doesn't matter as much as we think it does.
But don't tell anybody else that, because then the coaches will start getting worried.
At least, what is it? At least for really good teams, where teams that have a lot of talent, the coach makes the lineup and tells it to go play, and then takes the timeout when the timeout needs to be taken, and decide what line goes on the ice in critical situations. And like, I'm not totally convinced that a coach makes the difference between winning and losing outside of certain situations.
Correct. And I think sometimes those little situations are what gets you to the cup.
Yep. So I think Florida's a team that just, honestly, I give the GM more credit than I give the coach to what Florida's doing right now, of not getting rid of certain guys when maybe you could have got something for them, hanging on to them, acquiring pieces with some term, and re-signing those guys and building a better team, drafting well. Those are all things that create a successful team long term. And I think Florida's just kind of really coming into their stride. They've been a decent team for a while. They've struggled to do anything in the playoffs, but now I think they are right there as one of the teams for the next 2 or 3 years that you're going to say, this is a cup contending team to start the year.
Yes. And finally getting some decent goaltending out of their high dollar goaltender.
Yep. And we can back them up with a kid like Spencer Knight. It's like, you know what?
Yep.
Hey, you're building the future while you're winning. That's fantastic. That's awesome.
Oh yes.
So, well done, Florida. You're not an embarrassment.
Woo! That's exciting. So, all right. So moving on from Florida, we got Montreal.
Ah, Le Canadien. This is definitely at least a bad.
Yeah.
I'm borderline ugly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to decide if we should save the uglies for the really, really uglies, or if this is worthy of an ugly.
I mean, maybe give him a pass because Carey Price isn't there. Shea
I, I,
Weber
I,
isn't there.
I think their off season was ugly,
Yeah.
making the team bad because you lost Kakiniemi because somebody outsmarted you with an offer sheet,
Uh-huh.
and you lost Weber probably to the career. You lost Carey Price to personal issues.
Mm-hmm.
You
Which
lost a
kudos to
free agent
him.
center.
Yes, kudos to
You,
him
you said,
for standing up and taking the time to get himself right.
hmm indeed, indeed. Um, I being a goaltender is a mental toil.
Oh yeah.
Playing in the NHL is a mental toil. Playing in Montreal is a mental toil. And he's had all those things for a substantial period of
Oh
time.
yes.
And I
Yes, he
think
has.
I'm not surprised that he needed some help.
Nope.
Uh,
Mm-mm.
I imagine there's probably some more guys down the road that will be doing the same thing because of his example, which
Yep.
is fantastic.
I agree.
Take care of you. There's only one you. There's plenty of other teams and players in the world that can play the game of hockey.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So, um, yeah, we'll go ugly off season, but bad regular season because they were just not set up well to do anything this year.
Nope, I'm good with that. So put that up, and then it brings us to the next team of Ottawa.
Oh,
Uh huh.
Ottawa got hit bad with injuries and is now hit bad with the COVID
Uh huh.
and had contract issues in the offseason with Kachuk to where, okay, now he's actually missing time and missing games. Like, he was signed before the start of the regular season, but he wasn't ready to play until like a couple, 3 games in, which is just, you don't start the season on a good foot when everybody isn't ready to go, hit the
Mm-mm.
gate day one. And so I think they've just kind of stumbled out of the gate for a number of reasons. And I don't think they're a good enough team to make that back. We'll see.
Yeah.
Uh, but I guess I expected a little bit more from them as far as like being competitive. And I just don't think they're there right now.
Nope.
So
I don't either.
I give them a bad.
You want to give them the ugly? You need at least one team in this division to get an ugly.
I don't think they need
No,
the ugly.
not
I
quite
don't
yet.
think that's I don't think that's totally fair because yeah, there's some things just outside of their control that have happened to them. They had an injury to their top line, like that's gone for the year, or like 4 to 6 months or something like that.
Yeah,
So
that does take a hit. Yep,
that's
that's fair.
yeah, yeah.
All
So
right.
all right, who's left?
So bad for them. So that brings us to Tampa Bay.
You know, you start us off on this one because I'm mixed.
I know I am too, but I mean, looking at it, they're 7-1-2 in their last 10. My word, I did not realize that. I knew they had a very, very slow start, but they've been picking it up, but I didn't realize they've been picking it up that well. I mean, they're third in their division, which is probably where they want to be. That second and third spot, the guaranteed playoff ticket. As long as they get in, they don't really care, but they want to make sure they get in.
Hmm.
So, I mean,
Well,
uh,
they've done that without Kucherov,
again,
which I mean they did last year too.
yeah,
Um, I will say this: Stamkos is playing like he wants to go to the Olympics,
right? No kidding.
which we may have to talk about at some point because I'm not sure we're actually going to have an Olympics to go to as far as like
Right.
COVID restrictions, then maybe some boycotting stuff that might be going on, and yeah, social injustice pressures and whatnot for going and
Mm,
participating in China. Not just the hockey players, but like all athletes and stuff. There's a lot of things that can change in the next 3 months.
oh, yes.
So,
They're likely to change in the next like 3 weeks.
and then change back again.
Oh, yeah. So it's always hard to predict.
Uh huh.
Always hard to know what's going on. So, yeah, no, I agree with that. Stamkos playing an unreal rate.
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah,
So, yeah, they're good.
so I
They're
say
good.
slap a good on them and move on, huh?
Yeah, because I don't expect them to lead the league in anything anymore.
No,
That's
no.
not what they want.
Mm-mm.
They want cups. They don't care about anything else.
Right.
And they're playing chess.
That they are. Everybody's playing some checkers. All right, so we'll wrap it up with Toronto.
Oh, Toronto, you started off the season like if we had recorded this podcast like 2 weeks ago, this absolutely would have been bad to ugly. It
Oh
really
yes.
would have.
Oh yes.
Because they lost basically to the AHL affiliate of the Pittsburgh Penguins one night, like seven to
Oh, I remember
one.
that. Yeah. Oh,
So they were just falling all apart. Mitch Marner had like no points, looked totally out of sorts. And now, hey, suddenly Mitch Marner's playing better. The whole team's playing better. The goaltending's playing better.
everything's
They're
vibing. Yeah, everything's good.
winning cures all things. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They're sitting there second
Sheesh.
in the division. They're rolling. It's fine.
Oh, yeah.
Toronto's good.
Toronto's good. I would agree. All right, so let's jump over to the other division in the East and start off with Carolina.
If this is anything other than good, slap me.
Yeah, right. No kidding.
Carolina's fantastic. They've lost twice this whole year. Played 16 games. They actually have two losses. Like
That's insane.
that's phenomenal. Florida has the same thing. I think those are the only two teams in the league that have just two losses. There's some other guys that have three, but those are the two with just two.
Which that's just
So,
crazy. I mean,
if you're a fan, that is entertaining to watch because you get
yes,
to
it
see your
is.
team win the vast majority.
Go to every home game.
Yeah.
6-1 at home. Yeah, can't complain there.
Yep.
So yeah,
And it's
very.
Carolina. You should go to a home game anyway.
Oh well, yeah. Let's see. Chance to see. They're still doing the surge and stuff, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's got to be so much fun to watch that after and just feel the energy of everything coming off that. So.
Well, I think they're doing a surge, but I think it's more like a salute to healthcare workers surge or something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's. I mean, that's really cool too that they're doing
Not as
that.
much shenanigans, but still something for the fans.
Yep. Which hey, it's what you want. Your team wins. You're feeling great. That's just gravy at that point. So
Hmm.
good for them, which leads us to Columbus.
I feel like Columbus falls in the same category as like Buffalo,
Yep.
to where it's like you are doing far better than I expected you to do in the division you're in,
Uh huh.
and therefore you get the golf clap. Um, and I know I think they're sixth in the division right now, but points percentage wise, they're actually like fourth.
Yep.
So
Yep.
again, once you get in the regular season, you kind of got to go by points percentage with most of your rankings
I
because
know the
that's giving you
schedules.
a better story.
The schedule is
Because
so weird.
yeah, and then once you have teams like with some COVID stuff and whatnot,
Right. Yep.
it throws things all off the place. So go with points percentage. It's your best indicator.
Mm-hmm.
After that's probably your goal differential, honestly,
Oh
because
yes.
if you look at if you sort any at any point basically during the season by points percentage or goal differential, you will see they line up pretty much your top four teams in a conference or your division, and your bottom four teams is going to be basically line on line.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So those are your best two indicators, in my opinion,
I would
for
agree.
who's actually doing well. If you see a team that's leading your division with a negative point differential, that's a
Something's
statistical
going on.
anomaly.
Something
It
weird's
means
happening.
you've only played 4 games in the season.
Yeah.
um, yeah.
And one you lost 8-0.
Uh-huh.
So.
Um, so yeah, good on you, Columbus,
Yep.
for
I agree.
for,
They
for
are
putting up
doing
a
better.
fight. Maybe Tortorella was the problem. I don't know.
Weird.
Um,
Yeah. Who knows? So good for them. So leads us to the Devils.
I'm torn on the Devils because I feel like we had some higher expectations for them with what they did in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
But then to not have Jack Hughes since what, game 6 or 7 or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Like their last 10, they're 4-3-3, so they get to overtime a lot.
Right.
Um, like 30% of the games they go to overtime. They don't always get the point, and they actually could have some wins in there that would have been overtime games as well. So they might have gone to overtime even more than that, because that four, would just be a win in overtime. It wouldn't show up separately.
Mm-hmm.
So, but to do it without Jack Hughes, who is their number one center rookie, formerly young phenom,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I think that's impressive.
Yeah.
Um, to keep it going the way they have, because I kind of expected them maybe to not be as good as they are. Uh, So Good on you, New Jersey.
I
You're
agree.
you're you're staying in the fight.
Saying let's see how long we keep that good on them too, huh?
Mm-hmm.
See what we say in next month or so. So after the
Mm-hmm.
Devils, we got ourselves the Rangers.
Oh, wow. The Rangers. Fancy meeting you here.
I
Um, I I think they're good.
agree.
Um, it's really just we expected them to be the right around divisional playoff spot or wild card kind of
Mm-hmm.
range. With a hat tip too, they could just go trash. Uh,
Right? Yeah.
Considering they gave away so much talent and brought in a bunch of bruisers that then didn't do anything.
Yeah,
But they're getting goaltending, um,
they are.
so that does enough for you.
Yeah.
It's not too much of a concern there. So.
Yeah, I'm just sad I didn't see a Reeves Lucic fight last time they played. They've already played their two games against each other, so that's not going to happen this year.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of surprised with where they're at. I mean, I'm same with you. I thought they could be good, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're bad. And right now, they are doing pretty good.
Hmm.
But not so much for the next team we're talking about, which is the Islanders.
Okay. Well, this is one we're going to have to pause on.
I
Justin,
agree.
what's wrong with the Islanders?
A little bit of everything, I think, right now. 3-6-1 in the last 10. I think they're what 0-2 in their new barn. It's not a great way to start their season. I mean, I know they had that 13 game road trip, but still, like, I don't think we've been
Okay.
stealing Islanders hockey.
So, if we look at this correctly, we're going to say the Islanders have made it to the conference finals the last 2 years in these pandemic shortened years.
Mm-hmm.
So they have played a lot of hockey. They've played a little bit less than Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
But I think after that they've played the most amount of hockey other than Tampa Bay. So
Mm-hmm.
there's fatigue and attrition that happens through that. They also made some moves in the offseason where they brought in guys like Zach Parise and Zdeno Chara and whatnot. They lost one of their defensemen, Nicoletti, to Detroit. So they had some fairly major pieces adjusted there. Starting the season on the road, waiting for UBS Arena to be completed. Yes, the first 13 games were on the road. They were about a 500 team.
Which I mean,
Okay.
that's what you want.
That's a fine road record. Like
Mm-hmm.
most teams in the league, apart from like the top ones,
Uh-huh.
all are about 500 on the road. Like, especially in this division, if you look at just the road records in this division, Columbus is 500, New Jersey's a little bit above, Pittsburgh's a little bit above, and some of it probably from beating the Islanders. Well, actually,
Right.
no, those would have been home games for them. Never mind. Um, but as long as your road record isn't trash, you should be able to make up the games at home.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is once you are behind in this league,
Oh.
it is very hard to make up ground
Oh yeah.
unless you're the St. Louis Blues from 2009.
Right.
So there's still this possibility, and I think there's a possibility that we get towards middle to end of December. You might want to throw some money down on the Islanders to win the cup because you're going to have some really good odds at
Oh
that point.
yeah.
And that's a team that you could absolutely see going on enough of a run to get into the playoffs. And once it's into the playoffs, oh yeah, they could totally win the cup, right?
Right.
No, the work they have to do to get there, well, it only comes by wins.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could say, well, you got to jump 4 or 5 teams to get into the playoffs. Yes, but you just got to win the games that are in front of you.
Right.
Um, they also have some COVID stuff going on right now with them, which is also limiting their roster. So just because they're back home doesn't necessarily mean things, okay, they're easy now. That's not the case. This league is unforgiving.
Oh
And
yes.
so they're going to have to find a way to really show up and win out. And honestly, they got to start giving up so many goals. Like they're typically a team that's going to have one of the lowest amount of goals given up, and
Mm-hmm.
they are middle of the pack to bottom of the pack, I believe. Probably closer to middle of the pack for them, which for them is a lot.
Yes.
It's a lot, and so that's not typical of a Barry Trotz team. and I would expect the Barry Trotz would kind of get this thing figured out here. Um,
I think it'll start to click at some point. It's
the
just,
question is, will it click in time?
yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, one of the one of the things about this year that I don't think has been talked about enough is this year is going to be played in two halves,
Right.
or
Yep.
2/3 and a third, or somewhere around there. Maybe like 3/5 and 2/5 probably is actually what's closer to it,
Mm-hmm.
because we're going to have, I think it's like a 21-day break for the Olympics in February,
Mm-hmm.
assuming we go. Even if they
Right.
don't go, there's no games scheduled for that, so it's not like, we're not going to the Olympics. Let's play games. Like, where are you going to take them from?
Let's schedule
So
some
there,
makeup games or something then if they don't
there
go.
is going to be a substantial break for the whole league for the Olympics. That's going to be a time where hot teams are going to cool off.
Uh-huh.
Cold teams are going to look at, this is our reset. We know what we need to do these last 20, 25 games to the finish. It's going to, everything that we know going into that break will be different coming out of that break,
Right.
right? Somebody's going to go to the Olympics if we go and break a leg, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or take a puck to the shin, or
Which, that'll break the whole, should we go to the
break a
Olympics debate
hand.
again? Yeah.
Yep, yep. It's gonna happen. Somebody's gonna go over there, get COVID, and be in China quarantine for twenty
Oh.
four 24 weeks or whatever. Like,
Oh.
it's gonna be a totally different thing. It's going to change the season in ways that we cannot predict right now,
Mm-hmm.
to some degree. It's not like when they were here, like when we went to Vancouver for the Olympics. Okay, that's in the same
Right, yeah.
time zone
Yeah.
as, seven of the teams. It's no big deal,
Right.
right? There's no extra travel. There's no jet lag, right? They're literally going 12 hours away.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and the guys that aren't going, like, a small percentage of the NHL that goes to the Olympics.
Uh-huh.
A very small percentage. So everybody else is not doing much of anything. There'll be some guys that probably get sent down to the AHL that
Oh,
are
yeah.
eligible to do that without having to, like, pass through waivers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the majority of the league is going to be doing nothing for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I it's going to change things, because all that chemistry and that rhythm that you were in up until then changes.
Gone.
So if you're a hot team right now, stay as hot as you can, bank as many points as you can,
Oh, yes.
because you're going to come out of that and you are not going to be the same team. And if you're
That's
a bad team that's just treading water, you're just trying to get to that point to where you can say, okay, we can reset our season right now and hope we have enough time to get hot towards the end.
mm-hmm. Let's hammer it down and get going.
Yeah.
So, we slapping a bad on them or an ugly? Say again?
Let's go ugly.
Ugly? Alright.
Yeah.
First
Because
ugly of the night. Alright.
for a team that I thought would win the division,
Yeah.
to start off
They're
this bad,
not.
that's an ugly.
I would agree with that. So, not good for them. Next team we have is Philly.
Yeah, they exist. Um,
Right?
I can't think of a more forgettable team for me right now than Philadelphia.
Yeah, same here.
Like, I literally have nothing on them.
I mean,
So I'm gonna say it must be good, because they're not a dumpster fire.
which is pretty good for them right now. So,
Yep.
yeah, no, I'm with you there. Let's just slap a good on them and keep on moving right down to Pittsburgh.
This was interesting because Pittsburgh started out the year so well.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if we recorded this 2 or 3 weeks ago, this would have been an undeniable. They're good. They're
Shit,
good. I
they're
don't know
very
how they're
good.
good,
Yeah.
but it's that weird thing of, hey, we don't have Crosby and Malkin. The team plays really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
Crosby and Malkin come back. Well, now the team's not playing as well.
It messed up the chemistry somehow. What?
I I don't want to be the guy that says that one of those two guys is the problem, because that seems
Right.
stupid. But both of those guys are
But,
older. Both of those
uh-huh.
guys are in their mid 30s, I think, right now.
Yeah.
Early 30s.
I think mid
Probably
30s at
probably mid.
least.
It's got to be mid 30s, yeah, because I know how old Ed Ovechkin is, and Crosby and Malkin are right around his draft year.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, yeah, I think I know they're still above 500. They're basically a 500 team, actually. Like, and they're 500 in their last 10. They're kind of 500 overall. Is that good or bad for them? Uh, yes
Yeah.
and no. Like, Give me a reason, Justin, as to why I would go one way or the other with these guys.
I don't know. Like I say, I think you just always expect them to do well because Penguins, same thing as Boston. You can't keep them away from the playoffs, even if you beat them with a stick. So I mean,
Are you surprised at how well they're doing, or are you surprised at how poorly they're doing? And I feel like we're not even surprised.
no,
I feel like this is they are what we thought they were.
yeah, like I expect them to be bad, but which made me expect them to be good. So I mean, the fact that they are playing down right now, but they are over 500, so
I think we're going to give them a good for starting out the year as well as they did
mm-hmm, yeah,
against expectations. So
yeah,
not just the last 10, but over the whole start of the season, the last month, they get a good. Slap a
yeah.
good on them and
Keep
let's
on
move forward.
trucking. All right, so good on them. So leads us to the last team in the East, which is Washington.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Um, Basically that's for Ovi chasing the great one, uh, which is a topic that
Ugh.
is going to come up every couple of weeks for the next several years.
And it
There's
has been coming
much
up every couple of weeks for the past several years.
Yes. What's interesting is that we're going to get to a point here shortly, probably by the end of this year, where there's not too many more guys that he's going to try and catch. And
Yeah,
so, like, he jumped past Brett Hull recently. The next one on the list is Yagomir Yager.
right. Which he's
I
super
think
close
he's
to
got
that
like
one, right?
another. I think he's like
Like 20 or 30.
25, 30 or something.
Yeah,
He could get it this year. The pace he's scoring at right now, he could get it this year.
right.
After that, then he's got to get up to Gordy, and then after that, it's going to take like a season or two
At
or
least.
more to catch Gretzky. So the talk is going to die down when it's not every couple of weeks. Oh, we passed so
Another
and so.
milestone.
Oh, we passed
Ooh.
so and so. Oh, we passed so and so. It's going to go quiet for a while. He'll still be scoring, but it's going to go. The hype's going to go quiet,
Uh
which I'm kind of looking forward to
huh.
because the conversation is premature. Because if you look at the math, right,
Oh, yeah.
to catch Gretzky is
Staggering.
still even how great he's been, even adding this year's numbers into it and the pace he's on, it's still a long shot to get there.
It really
It's a
is.
long shot to get there.
Yeah.
So
And just hope something doesn't happen to him at the Olympics.
that or at any time between now and the next 4 years from now, right? That's the
Right,
time
minimum.
frame that we're looking at of things that could go wrong. And all it takes is just, I mean, if he loses a couple months to an injury
Uh huh.
and then isn't quite the same when he comes back until you get through a full off-season rehab,
Right.
his goal totals that are need to be like in the 30s to 40s comes down to 20. It makes it harder and harder to get to.
It does.
Now, I will say this. One of the things that they're doing is he plays all 2 minutes of every power play, and he is out there in every pulled goaltender situation.
Mm hmm.
The team is doing what they can to get him to Gretzky,
Which, I
which
mean,
is which is great because it's actually working towards wins right now.
right, it's working,
Okay.
so keep it going.
What I'll be interested in is when we're 2 years down the line, he's past Gordie Howe, and now he has 70 goals still to get to catch Gretzky. And the team is like, we kind of need to win games more than let you catch this guy. And we actually have better options on the power play, and you can't play all 2 minutes. And so his pace will slow,
Mm hmm.
taking what limited opportunities he has. It's a guess on my part,
It sure
but
is. But I mean, I
it's
think at
it.
this point he's still playing better than a lot of people expect him to play this year. Like the pace he's going is much higher than that.
Um, yeah, I
So
mean, he's tied for second in the league with goals. Like, I mean,
yeah,
he's absolutely killing it. He's got 15 goals in 19 games, so it's a crazy pace for anybody, other than Ovechkin, basically.
right.
So no, I definitely think he's got a shot at doing it. But let's jump over Yager this year,
Yep.
and then he can catch Gordie Howe maybe next year, and then he's got the long marathon after that
Oof.
to catch Gretzky. and then we can be done with all the silly talk until he actually starts getting close.
Right. Yes, indeed. So, yeah, we'll slap a grade on them, and, yeah, that should be some fun hockey to watch, that's for sure. So, all right, well, that wraps up our East talk. So we're going to do this in two parts. This is obviously part one, so tune in to part two to hear us talk about the West.